So as an educator, it can be challenging to measure what we do. But it's really important to understand that we are also creating ripples in the community. When we read those surveys from students that they submit anonymously, we get to hear their true voice and how they feel about the content we just presented to them. And we get to hear backstories of students who were encouraged to continue to make good choices even though it's been tough. We hear stories of students who maybe have had sex in the past who said, you know what, I'm going to think about this now. You've really brought some things to my attention, and moving forward, I'm going to make some good choices. We're also looking at ways to think out of the box as far as bringing messages of hope and ways to bring value to the community. So some of the ways that we are doing that with teaching about social media, not only to students so that they can learn how to handle social media responsibly, but also we're educating parents, because this is the first generation of parents who have had to be able to train up kids who've lived with social media. So it's new territory. And so we want to help encourage not only students, but also parents and be a resource for parents in the community. So we're offering classes in the community. We're offering opportunities for churches as well to be able to take part in what we're doing.
Well, one client specifically comes to mind as really having the deck stacked against her, if you will. She was facing her second unplanned pregnancy after having a previous abortion. The father of this child was incarcerated, and she was afraid to tell her extended family because of the apparent prejudice. Well, after having her first ultrasound and then she began parenting classes, you could visually see her begin to bloom. She enrolled for her next semester of college, and she was just determined to overcome the stereotypes in her personal life and within her family. So I am happy to report that after completing the parenting classes and through meeting with me and her parents' support, she gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, and she now is parenting successfully.
So Chris and his wife came into New Hope Center to take parenting classes. It was his wife's first child. It was Chris's third. He had two from a previous marriage. They took the classes, and at the end of his fatherhood classes, we decided to do the Courageous Bible Study. The Bible study really encouraged Chris. He was excited. They started attending church. They're regular, faithful church members now, and I ran into him the other week, and he was talking about possibly becoming a male mentor himself at the New Hope Center.
I have been a volunteer at the New Hope Center for over a year now, working with clients who are setting out on their path to becoming mothers. I'm a mother myself. I have 3 beautiful children who entered the lives and the hearts of myself and my husband through adoption. And as a way of showing my gratitude to my children's birth parents, and as a way of just giving back, I enjoy working with young mothers who have chosen life for their babies and who are setting out on their path to becoming mothers themselves. The New Hope Center offers support to any client who expresses an interest in developing an adoption plan for their child, which is a wonderful part of the ministry, I believe, because it helps complete families like mine through the selfless and loving act of adoption.
Immediately after the abortion, I felt relieved because I wasn't in the crisis anymore. And so that night, grief, guilt, and shame hit me, and I didn't recognize what it all was. And in the darkness of night, I cried out to God, I am so sorry. And I even cried out to my baby, I am so sorry. And I felt like he wouldn't be listening anymore to me because I had gone too far and done too much. But I turned to alcohol and sometimes marijuana to avoid the pain. And I kept myself busy so I wouldn't think about it. I started living a party lifestyle, and I determined in my mind that I was going to take this experience to the grave. There is hope. If you are struggling with a past abortion, it's time to deal, it's time to heal. Trust the Lord and give Him your whole heart, and He will take you on a journey for healing. I encourage you to call the New Hope Center and do a post-abortion Bible study and learn the truth of God's Word, that He will forgive you and heal your past.
Everybody, meet Grayson. He is 3 months old, and let me tell you about our journey. My main reasons for coming to New Hope was most likely my fear of the unknown and my fear of facing all this alone. This is one of the biggest things that any woman will have to go through in her life. The person that had brought me to New Hope or told me about it was a friend of mine, and she told me to call as soon as possible. I called that Tuesday, I believe, and I had met Angie, which was my mentor at New Hope, and she was able to discuss all of my options that I've had. By the next day, we had gotten my ultrasound, and I think this was near the middle of October, and that day had shown me since then that I did not want to do abortion. I had seen this little human being inside me, not yet moving around or kicking around, but I seen that I'd created him, and I loved him to death, and I knew that he was my first priority. Ever since then, I have been working and going to school, and I've actually gotten full ride at NKU. I'm studying communication studies. I had graduated from high school, and I'm raising this little boy who is now 3 months old. And I'm living life to the fullest. Me and my boyfriend are doing great. And I'm going to school to try to better my life for him to soon get a job. And we are doing wonderful, and he's very happy.
Our first experience going to pregnancy center banquets, actually we started in Louisville when we lived there. And some friends of ours had invited us, and I personally always been pro-life, but in word only. I talked about being pro-life, had voted personally pro-life, but really didn't do that much. Got invited to a banquet, and the speaker that night at the banquet happened to be Tim Tebow's mother. And as she stood up there and she spoke about the fact that when they were missionaries on the field, that she had gotten an infection, and 2 different doctors had advised her to abort Tim because of what potentially could happen to her or what potentially could happen to the child she was carrying. And for me, that was just so profound because it put a name to a person. And Tim Tebow, I mean, my goodness, God has used him so much and for his kingdom and all his works. And I know Jeff and I came out of there going, oh my, and it really was a game changer for me. And I got much more active in the pro-life movement.
That experience put a face and a name to the pro-life movement for us. It made it more personal. And so we decided to get involved on a more personal level. And at that time, for us, it meant being able to donate and to give to the cause, the pro-life cause, to help advance that cause through the communities that we were involved with, first with Louisville, now here in Northern Kentucky, through New Hope. So I would encourage everyone that's listening to seriously think about donating, because this is a very worthwhile cause. You're saving lives, and who knows, you may save the next Tim Tebow.